Cravings. We all get them, we've all had them. But the interesting thing that we need to remember about cravings is just because we have a craving does not mean that we automatically, immediately have to meet that need. Because like every other feeling and emotion that we get, a craving sort of comes in a wave. It starts, it rises, it peaks, and then it dissipates, and then it goes away, if you give it a chance. Because when we feel that urge, that craving coming along, there are certain tools and techniques you can also use to help you move past that. The first technique I'm going to talk today is just about breathing. Breath work, if you haven't discovered it, can be magic in so many ways. And so literally just breathing through a craving, just letting that craving go can be really useful. And it really is as simple as just taking in a deep breath and exhaling for the longer breath. Perhaps taking in a breath for 5 and then exhaling that breath for 7. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. That's all. And just notice that on the out breath, you're just letting go of that urge, letting go of that craving. Of course, distraction also works very well. So maybe when you're feeling that urge, that craving coming on, thinking to yourself, what else could I do instead? Could I phone a friend, go for a walk, have a shower? Maybe there's someone that, I can just get online and connect with. It's really up to you, but understanding, and I want you to get really curious about cravings and utilize some of these techniques, these distractions, and learn for yourself. See what happens if you just distract yourself for 10, 15 minutes. And is the craving still there? And I think you'll be quite surprised at what you learn. So today I'm also going to introduce to you some tapping, also known as EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Now tapping is based on, if you can imagine it as a type of acupuncture. Don't worry, there's no needles involved today, but we are tapping on certain pressure points around the body. So thinking along the lines of acupuncture, where we understand there's certain energy meridians that are running through the body. In the case of acupuncture, the needles are placed at certain points to release anything that's trapped in those energy meridians. So what we do instead of using needles is we just tap on certain points. And tapping, although it can be used for many things, it's very helpful with anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, even physical pain within the body. In this instance, so of course, we're using tapping to combat cravings. And so to illustrate how tapping works, today I'm going to work with a sugar craving, a craving for sweets and cakes and chocolate, one perhaps which most of you are familiar with. And really it is about just following what I'm doing. There are more details about tapping in your booklet, and it does point out all the different pressure points there for you, so you don't really have to worry about remembering everything today. But you can just carry along. Really, it is just following my lead, saying what I say and tapping on the points that I tap on. So we always start our EFT tapping with a setup statement. And now, the setup statement is really addressing the problem. In this instance, the problem is a sugar craving. And so the setup statement will go something like this. Starting to tap on this point, which is known as your karate chop point. So that's an easy first one to remember. So as we're tapping on this point now, we're using that setup statement, which goes like this. Even though I constantly have sugar cravings. And then the second part of the setup statement is, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then another statement connected to that, maybe, even though I just can't stop eating chocolate, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. And the next statement could go along the lines of, even though I find myself wanting to eat cake constantly, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, once we've done those 3 setup statements, we start tapping at the points around the face and the upper body. And the first one is right at the top of the head here. Now you're tapping with the bottom, like your fingertips there, And it's as if there was a little rope or a little line that was coming out the top of your head like a little puppet. You'd be tapping around that point, the crown. And we just start off repeating those setup statements. I just crave sugar all the time. You can just repeat that after me. I just crave sugar all the time. The next point is the beginning of the eyebrow here. And if you take 2 fingers and you just move to the very beginning of your eyebrow, you'd be in the perfect spot. And in fact, you can always use 2 hands for tapping. So for today, we'll use that. Tapping on that point at the beginning of the eyebrow. And we're just repeating setup statements. And it's a very intuitive process. So whatever comes up, it might be, I just can't stop myself eating sugar. I just find myself thinking about sugar all the time. Moving on to the next point, which is on the side of your head, just on the occipital bone here. Just tapping gently. And when you're tapping, make sure that it's hard enough that you can hear it. However, you don't want to be injuring yourself. You don't want to be tapping too hard. You don't want to be leaving any marks. So just returning to the setup statements. I just can't stop thinking about sugar. I think about sugar all the time. I feel like I'm always craving sugar. I'm always craving something sweet. I think about cake often. When I go into the shops, I'm just looking for chocolate. I'm constantly thinking about sugar. I'm constantly looking for my next sugar hit. Into the chin, down to the chest. Underneath your collarbone here. Now you can choose, you can tap with your fingers in that area. I often choose to just tap with my flat hand like that. I just can't stop thinking about sugar. Still repeating those setup statements. I think about sugar all the time. I just crave it. I feel like it's taking over my life. I just can't resist sugar. And I have sugar cravings all the time. I can't even go into the shop without coming out with a sugary treat. I feel completely out of control. I just crave sugar all the time. I crave sweets. I crave chocolate. I crave cake and biscuits. Any way to deliver sugar to my body. Even with cool drinks, soft drinks. I just crave sugar. I feel out of control. These cravings, they're just overwhelming. I just crave sugar, and I crave it all the time. Under where your bra strap would be, I just crave sugar. And now we move on to the third round, which is where we let that craving go. Here's where the magic happens. What if we could just let that go? What if I could just let that go? What if I could just release that craving because it's not helping me? I don't need sugar. In fact, it has no nutritional value at all. So it's certainly not giving me anything. So what if I could let that go? I could feel so much better if I let it go. It would be so much better for all parts of me to let that craving go. To just release it. I can let it go. I can let it go. I can feel better already as I let it go. I can let it go. Feel it go. One last time. Once again at the top of the head. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just release it. Release it and let it go. Release it and let it go. Just let it go. If you feel inspired to sing at this point, of course you can. Let it go. Just let it go. Under the nose, just let it go. Just let it go. You might start to feel very relaxed at this point, because tapping on certain points when we're doing our EFT, our tapping actually really does bring on that relaxation response. So you will feel nice and relaxed. Just let it go. Just let that feeling go. And we always finish any EFT routine in the same way. That's by grabbing your wrist firmly here, giving it a squeeze, And then I want you to close your eyes now. And I want you to think about a moment of peace. Now, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be when you're having your morning coffee. It could be just when you're lying in bed at night feeling relaxed, while you're on the couch watching a movie with your partner, your husband, or when you're going for a walk. Whatever it is for you, it doesn't matter, because it's all about the feeling in here. So just take a moment, find that peace, wherever it may be. And as you find that bit of peace now, I want you to locate inside of your body where you feel it. Is it a feeling you feel in your chest or your tummy? Is it moving through your shoulders, or is it something that's just in your head? Take a moment, connect with that feeling in your body. Take one deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, and release. And in fact, what I should have said, what you can do is use a scale to start with, to see how you're moving with that. So an independent scale of distress, we would call it, although in this case maybe distress isn't the proper word. But starting off looking at your craving, you might say to yourself, I have this craving at the moment. How strong is it from 1 to 10? With 1 being it's nothing at all, and 10 being it's completely out of control. Seeing where you are on 1 to 10, doing that round of tapping, and then I want you to check in again to notice what's different now. That's right. Okay, I just want to leave you with one more thing, which is called faster EFT, which is just what it says on the box. It's still working on different points. However, it's a much quicker way of doing this, and there's not really mantras involved in this, so for some people this is more preferable to them. And so it's just tapping on 5 points, and all we're saying in this process is let it go. And so it's quicker, and many people say that they get just as good as results with this. So it's up to you to try out both techniques and see what works for you. So this one we start in a different point. It's in that point in the middle of your forehead, as if there was a line coming down the center, and you're turning your fingers into a little line there. Does that make sense? And we're tapping like that. Okay. It's a powerful point in the middle of your forehead here. It's on that relaxation center meridian, so you will find it relaxing. And of course, being nice and relaxed and chilled is going to help with those feelings of cravings. Tapping there, and you're just saying, let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. Once again, the side points here, 2 fingers. Just release it, let it go. I don't need it, I can let it go. 3rd point underneath the eye again. Just let it go. And the more you do tapping, the more you'll find it is a very intuitive process. You might just find yourself sitting on this point for a while. If you wanted numbers and you're someone that likes that direction, aim for 30 taps. Going from under the eye to the chin, point number 4, tapping there. We're just saying let it go. Let it go. Let it go. 5th and final point here is this one. Well, center meridian once again. This makes me want to take deep breaths at this point. I think it's that relaxation response. Okay, just let it go. Let it go. Hand, wrist, squeeze, eyes closed. Find that moment of peace. Then figure out where it is in your body. Locate that feeling of peace in your body. That's right. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, feel that release as you let it go. And then once again, at that point, you might want to come back to your scale of distress, your craving, the strength of your craving rather, on a 1 to 10, and see where you're sitting with it now. And you will find that if you use this often, that your cravings will just become less and less. Enjoy.